Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is December 17th, 2024. You're listening, watching the Daily AI Show live. And today we're switching it up a little bit because we have been talking a lot, it seems like, on the show about what OpenAI has been doing. That's not for bad reasons. They've been doing their 12 days of OpenAI, of which we're doing our live reaction videos every day the rest of this week at 1 p.m. So come back a second time today and join us then if you'd like. You can see everything that OpenAI is announcing and then whatever our feelings are about those announcements, whether we think they're awesome or, otherwise. But like I said, today is really more about what Google has been doing and their shit miss, like what they've been announcing, and they have been on a roll in the last 2-3 weeks, it seems like. I mean, when I look at some of the news feeds that I trust, it's almost like every third line is Google did this, Google did that. Some of them are bigger than others, some of them are name changes, but we're going to kind of dive into as much as we can today and try to make it as clear as mud for everybody in the audience, because I'm sure we'll trip up along the way as well. So with me today, we have a good group today. We have Beth, Jyunmi, Karl, Andy is back with us, and I'm Brian. So we have just about everybody except for Aaron back in here, but it should be a good discussion nonetheless. So don't forget, last thing I'll tell you real quick is, on top of coming back at 1 p.m. to join us for the live announcements for the 12 days of OpenAI, you can also always go to thedailyAIshow.com for quick references to any of the other shows that we've done, 350 plus live shows. We're here every single weekday at 10 a.m., just like you happen to be watching us now if you're watching us live. So you can always join us in YouTube in the comments there. You can always sign up for our newsletter, which is more. It's more than what we do here on the show. It's the best way to say it. There's only so much we can talk about and get to in 5 days, believe it or not, a week. And the newsletter is an opportunity for us to share more tidbits, more angles on these types. So if you love what we talk about, if you love AI, then I highly recommend you go sign up for the newsletter. It goes out every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Okay, who's going to kick this off for us? Karl, do you want to take a swing?
Sure. So, honestly, I've only tested one thing, and it is their stream real time, which is their video and audio in Google AI Studio, mostly to see what I could potentially build with from an API perspective. So I did find, I guess before we go, does anybody want to do a quick recap before we get into the demos? Anybody have like a recap of all the things that Google announced? Because I know they
There
announced a bunch
There
of
is
stuff.
a ton. I mean, I can do some, and you guys, I'll tell you what, I'll start and you guys jump in with more stuff because I have about 5 tabs open here of Google stuff, but I'll do my best here. We have Google DeepMind introduced Gemini 2.0. It's a new AI model designed for agentic era. That I'm reading off of Google's thing. So if it sounds like I'm selling, that's why. Gemini 2.0 is more capable than previous versions. Okay, so that was all 2.0 on there, committed to building responsibly. They have deep research out new with an experimental model of Gemini. So that was something that I saw. We have Google's introducing Agent Space, bringing AI agents and AI powered search to enterprises. We have Whisk, visualize and remix ideas using images and AI. And the one that Beth had just said before that I missed, which was state of the art video and image generation with VO2 and Imagen 3. And I know that's a whole lot and that sounds a whole bunch of gibberish, but those are kind of things I have open tabs on. So we can kind of dive into any one of those areas.
And just to be clear, the Gemini 2.0 that's available now is the Flash version, but the Flash version is like, that doesn't mean it's bad or less.
No, in fact, it's better, right? Is if I remember right, it's faster than, was it Ultra or Ulta? What do they call it? Ultra?
They had
Previous
Ultra, yeah. But yes, it's faster than it's like Anthropic, right? When they come out with another thing, it outperforms the larger model of the previous thing.
Yeah,
Right.
and we're seeing a good trend with this. I mean, not to get off topic with Google and the rest of them, we're definitely seeing this trend. I just listened to a presentation from Ilya yesterday that was pretty cool. And, look, there's this trend of not necessarily, maybe at the beginning of 2024, we would have said larger models are definitely the way to go. And 2024 has sort of been the year of proving that that's not necessarily true. And that smaller models, when aimed in the right direction, can actually be better And so we're seeing this a lot where these flash models come out after the original larger model and then benchmark wise outperform them by their own standards. By the way, this is Anthropic saying, hey, this is a better model, or Google saying, hey, this flash version is a better model. So, and the ones I missed in here were Project Astra, Project Mariner, and Jules.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
And-
right.
And the other thing, Carl's going to talk about it, I think the other thing about Flash 2.0 is that they released real time, right? Which is Flash 2.0 with vision and
That's what I'm gonna do.
audio. Yeah. That's what you were working with, Carl.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go with that first. I think what I was using it for was because we've already seen models that you can, have full conversations with. OpenAI has that, but I really wanted to try essentially their version of advanced voice mode with vision, but it's on the desktop. And you can actually use it on your phone. So you can actually go to aistudio.google.com and use it on your phone too. So a lot of people have been doing that. So I'm going to share my screen here. Audio up. Good. There we go. Okay, so we can do that. What I'm going to do, there's two things I'm going to test. The second thing I'm going to test, I think they nerfed it. It was working, but then it stopped working. So very interesting. But let's go first. I was looking at this video game. It's called Delta Force. It just came out, so it's the review. So I'm going to have it describe what it's looking at. So I'm just going to hold on. I'm going to turn off that. Okay. So I'm going to, hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help?
Perfect. I want you to describe what is
Okay.
happening on this screen, which I just shared with you.
Certainly. It looks like a first-person perspective of a player in a video game. The player is holding a weapon with a scope and is looking down a hallway. There are other players in the game, and one is close behind the player with the scope. The game's interface shows health, ammo, and other game-related info, and there's a message that the player is assisting in suppression.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. The video is now showing a wider view of a player in a mountainous outdoor area, also in a video game. The player is holding a weapon, and there is a mini-map in the top left corner that shows other players' locations.
Can you, based on what you saw, what do you think this game's about?
Based on the video, the game appears to be a team-based shooter where two teams, the attackers and defenders, compete against each other.
What do you think the name of the game is?
Based on what I see, the game seems to be called Delta Force.
Cool. Okay, so that's the first piece. Now, the second piece is this. Hey, can you hear me again?
Yes, I can hear you again. Is there anything I can help you with?
Yes. What's on screen?
It looks like there's a spreadsheet on the screen. It appears to contain financial data with columns for account ID, transaction date, security name, quantity, price, and other related information.
Cool. Can you help me with a calculation? Can you calculate the total USD value of all buy transactions across all accounts in that spreadsheet?
Sure, I can help you with that. Give me a moment to look at the spreadsheet and do the calculation. The total USD value of all the buy transactions across all accounts in the spreadsheet is $109,552.
And how much have I invested in each currency, and what's the converted USD total?
Okay, let's calculate that for you. Based on the spreadsheet, you've invested 38,650 United States dollars, 59,000 Canadian dollars, 5,450 euros, 1,375 British pounds, 5,000 NOK, and 1,000 INR. And that totals 109,552 United States dollars when converted to USD.
Okay, one more. Can you calculate the total tax withheld in USD across all sell transactions?
No problem. After looking at the spreadsheet, the total tax withheld in USD across all sell transactions is $62.52.
Okay. So what's crazy is, oh, I gotta stop.
Wow.
Gonna keep talking to me. Anyway, so what's crazy? That second piece that didn't work for me yesterday because that so it said I can't actually do any transactions or calculations. So I don't know what it did, but when it could have been when I shared a screen versus when I shared a tab. I don't know, but it worked for me the first time. It didn't work for me the second time. I just kept pressing it. I said, you can do it yesterday. It's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Today, when I demoed it, this is awesome. It's reversed. It did it. And I was like, oh, just ask me whatever I want. So I thought, taken on a whole, Google, I'm just waiting for we're all waiting for OpenAI's desktop version of this. I don't know if people realize you literally have an AI companion with you at all times, whenever you are. If it can do all that, analysis for me. I was just talking to people yesterday. They're like, you'd be crazy. So he's a doctor, and he was saying, it's like, while I'm focused on a patient, I could be like, hey, whatever we name this thing, I need you to find all the patient records for this. Go get it. And I want to see it while I'm like, the things that you can do while you're doing something else, or completely as a help, or I don't even know the opportunities. So
Yeah.
Well, it starts to feel like a Minority Report, right? Like
Yes,
where,
literally.
or insert any sci-tech movie where they pull up virtual reality screens in front of them and they do a lot of this and a lot of this, and they move things away from themselves and they zoom in, right? There's like 1,000 movies that look like that. But I mean, take away the virtual reality side of that.
Sure.
Like, let's say it was the doctor in a patient room or something like that. You could see how there might be 2 or 3 blank, landscape screens on the wall or whatever that are just sort of built in, and then the physician is speaking out loud and saying, hey, pull this up, and it's pulling up essentially what you're saying, which is snapshots of it. I do want to answer Joel's question, and maybe you can answer it better for me. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. He said, is it reading from multiple sheets in the spreadsheet? No, it's just looking at screen grabs, correct, Carl? Of like, it's basically taking screen grabs of the video. Like when you were showing the game, it's just a screen grab of whatever it saw at that frame.
I think so. I can't be 100% sure because it's different than OpenAI's one.
Okay.
But like, just as we're talking, right? I was like, keep describing, and it would jump to. I didn't ask it. I probably didn't ask it questions where, could you see the entire video as it's playing? Like, but it's kind of neat because you're talking to it. It's like, describe it. I'm seeing this. Okay, describe it again. I'm seeing this. Describe it again. I'm seeing this. So it's moving with the actual video.
So maybe a way to test that would be just to say, ask it a question like, what do you see it? Describe what you see, and then follow up with a question of what happened in the scene just before this.
Okay, hold on. Why don't we test that right now?
Yeah. And then also I love Joel's comment, which was to see Carl's face when it worked, because I had the same reaction as Joel, which was like, Carl is obviously shocked whatever just happened with the spreadsheet. So
Carl is transforming into a Google fanboy as we speak.
Oh my God. So.
Hold on a second.
This is a major shift.
Wait. That's VO thing. That's still slick. That's still a slick video. I was like, hold on a second. None of us can use it. So
it's true. Join the wait list, and then we can all show how much the slick video is not.
Why don't we test that out?
Just out of curiosity.
Carl, clarify as you do how you are inserting the video image into its view. Is it as long as it's on your desktop? Did it have to be on the same browser? Tell me how you're getting that video in there.
Okay, so when you go, like anybody can do this right now. You can go to aistudio.google.com, sign up, free. So you can have obviously the same, what will you build, like prompt it, Q&A. I haven't tried all of these things. I just went right into here. So what you can do is you can share your screen. So select your video source, share your screen. On your phone, you can select your screen, you can screen share, and you can share your camera
Mm.
and you can have a conversation with it, right? So what I do is obviously I start the video again, and then I just start talking to it. Hey, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you. Is there anything I can help you with?
Yes. So I want you to. Okay, so I'm sharing with you a video. Can you tell me what this video is about?
Certainly, the video shows first-person gameplay of a first-person shooter game. The player is using a gun with a scope and is seen moving through different environments. The player appears to be playing in a team against other teams or opponents.
Okay, can you describe the scene before the scene that you saw?
Sure. Before the outdoor rocky environment, the player was inside a building where they shot an enemy and completed part of a mission. There was also an aerial view of a map that appeared to be part of the same game. Would you like me to describe?
I want you to, how do you actually work? Are you viewing the video in real time?
I process the video frame by frame, but not in real time. I analyze the content to understand what's happening and then respond to you.
How fast are you doing this?
I am processing the video faster than real time. The speed depends on the complexity of the video and the tasks you ask me to perform.
Cool. And can you give me a more detailed description of how you're doing that? Like a technical description?
Okay, I'll provide a more technical description. I receive the video as a series of images, called frames, and process them sequentially. For each frame, I analyze the pixel data to identify objects, text, and movement using machine learning models. This allows me to understand the content of the video and respond to your questions.
Anything, do you want to ask anything else?
So, so it's a large language model.
No,
so
I don't have
not...
any questions about the video right now. Would you like me to analyze a different...
No. Stop. Quiet for a second.
Okay, is there anything else I can help you with?
Not right now.
Okay, it's
Okay,
a large
just
language
let me know
model.
if you need anything else.
Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
It's a large language model, so we're not totally sure that it's the right answer and not the most probable answer, but the way that it answered made me wonder if this is part of the training data, because everyone's going to ask, right? Did they just like set that answer? This is the correct answer.
I don't know what this is. Like, I'm just going to keep, like, it's interesting. So as it's on screen right now, as this video is playing, Google is literally taking this training. I'm sure they're taking the conversation, my entire conversation that I've had. This exact conversation, I think I have had this exact conversation 7-8 times, just testing it, showing it to different people, right? Showing the exact same video, showing the exact same the spreadsheet. I just keep doing the same things, right? So I'm curious to see if I don't think it's, I don't know. It's I'm just excited about what potentially it could do, because it's still doing it frame by frame by frame by frame. But when you, from a business perspective, when you're not working with dynamic unless you, I'm sure Jyunmi would, as you're working on video, the goal would be, hey, I need this edited. Can you remove the background? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do this too. Oh, how do I do this? Do this. Like, that agentic component is going to be exciting. But even this component right now is,
I could think of a use case right off the bat that any business person would use, and that's that, like, hey, my boss was just at a conference and stood up on stage and gave a 5-minute talk, but he just talked off the cuff, about topics, and he answered questions. I want to take it because it was such a well-received talk, and I want to turn that into a presentation with slides. So let's go back and look at the video of it. Provide me an outline of the main topics and what the questions are. Then let's reorganize that so the questions get integrated into the main topic, and then give me enough slides with topics and subheaders along with speaker notes in order to make this into a evergreen presentation. Right?
Yeah.
That's a really good way. And so what I was going to say with this, Carl, what you could test is, we don't have to keep doing, because I know we want to talk about other Google stuff, but one further way I would test this video is I would say that I would be like, can you provide me an outline? Or I would say something silly like, hey, I think I want to try to recreate this video in my backyard. Can you provide me a quick screenplay with points for the start? Because what that would show is that it was actually looking at more frames than we thought it was, and capable of stitching those together and creating an outline that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So
Thanks,
before we move on, Carl, I need you to ask it, because it said it analyzed frame by frame before, faster than real time.
Yeah.
I want you to just tell it to give you a constant rundown at frame by frame, or from scene by scene. As each scene is switched, give a short description. Because if it truly can look at frames faster than real time, then that solves a whole mess of, latency issues and things like that. So I'm really interested if it's actually doing that, or like Beth said, it's giving you the answer that you want.
Wait a minute. Why don't you ask it? And I'm going to show my mouth right now.
Hey, I got a quick question for you. Can you hear me?
Hey, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. What do you need?
All right. You said that you could analyze frame by frame of this video that I'm sharing faster than real time. So you should be able to give me a constant description of each frame.
Jyunmi, it can't hear you because it's connected. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Just hold on. I'm just gonna see if I can.
It can only hear us in real time when we don't want it to hear us in real time.
It sounds like you were having some trouble with communication in the game. Is there anything you need from me at this time?
Okay, Jyunmi, ask me really quickly what you want me to ask it. Can you say it?
Right. Okay. So really quickly, ask it to give a real-time description of each scene in the video as it is shown.
Okay. Hey, could you, in the screen that I'm showing, can you give me a scene-by-scene description as the video is playing?
Okay, I can do that. The current scene shows a first-person view through a sniper scope. The terrain is a mix of grass, rocks, and trees, with a stream running through it. There's a small tower or structure visible in the distance. The player is on a high alert for a high-threat target. The enemy is down to 80% troop force. The objective of the game is to defend sector objectives. The enemy can be seen within the sniper scope. They are running in a zigzag direction.
Keep going. Hey, keep going.
Okay. Now, the player is in an urban environment, with tall buildings and palm trees visible. They are looking through the scope of their rifle, positioned behind sandbag cover. They have captured a sector objective.
Is that enough for you?
No, so I want to just clarify what we mean by faster than real time. Clearly, there are places there where it's trying to keep up with the very rapidly changing frames, and it can't speak fast enough to do that. Not because of processing speed, but just because it's not going to, go to 6 times speech, pace in order to keep up with the video.
Yeah,
it's true, but it did seem that the scene description, as it goes from scene to scene, was still a little behind. But
yes.
that's still a far better improvement than I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But the question I think that's underneath that is, can it see more of the video than we can see? Right. So when it says it can do something faster than real time, does it mean it can go ahead to future frames in the video? And I think the answer is no, because it's looking at the screen share. It can only see what you can see.
I think a test for this, and then I think we should probably go on to other, because this is fun, but we should probably go on to other Google stuff for shipments here. But here's what I would say. If anybody wants to test this in the audience, or maybe somebody from the show or whatever, one way that you could test this more simplistically and put the scientific method on it, I think, would be to either show you playing Simon, or probably just go online and find a free version of Simon, where Simon is giving you, old school Simon, where it's giving you a code pattern of lights and colors, and then you're having to replicate that. And I think in using something more simplistic like that, where it's colors, maybe you want to do something that has colors and numbers or something like that. You probably could, unlike the game that's, I agree with Andy, it's moving too fast and it was giving us updates, but it was like a rolling conversation. So it was just grabbing whatever it was seeing. You might be able to do that through something like a more simplistic Simon with 4 colors on it that gives you a little more insight to like, oh no, it was able to repeat and speak back that pattern. And it was watching. I mean, you know how fast Simon can start moving from, you know, the when you were a kid, that if it can do that, that would start to tell you how fast it was processing it from a slow, you know, first round assignment up to maybe a harder round assignment. It'd be interesting to see where it cuts out on there. So just, you know, some ideas on there or whatever. But
and Joel touched upon what I was getting at too is, could you replicate what Microsoft has shown about their AI assistants and things like that? Because you would need to be able to process each scene and each change and be able to communicate that effectively if you're looking for a live assistant, as opposed to, oh, this is how you play Minecraft, or this is how you play Delta Force. So that's kind of what I was going with the experiment.
I think right now it's a little what we were trying to do, and what, you know, eventually what you kind of want to do is, I think it's a little bit beyond the scope of what it can do, like in terms of a live thing that can help you in real time in the video game, where it's like, hey, dodge right now, or even just like using predictive. It's like, you know, your team is going to do this, their team based on calculations is probably going to do this based on their previous movement. Like, depending on what game it is, that's more complex than I think. Trying to
getting into Matrix levels with I know Kung Fu, you know,
and the purpose of this is called real time, right? So I think that is kind of the intention of it. If we look at what LLMs can do with text and the context of text, it is likely that it can actually engage with the whole thing at the same time, but that's not helpful for engaging with humans, right? I mean, like, it's not reading token by token. It's like got this context window and it is taking in all of the tokens at the same time, right? So I would assume it's doing that in the frame too, but that's not something we can like, nope. I got no conversation with you about that other than wow, right? Well, I need you to go frame by frame so that you're in my like time sequence.
I mean, it'd be an interesting tool to see a side-by-side comparison that explains the entire back process. Like, you see it happen. It's like, oh, we've slowed it down so that you could read what and be shown each step of it. So it's a visual map or a visual representation of the entire process. I mean, I think I could learn a lot just by watching that process. Probably slow me down by 1,000 times.
A key advancement of this platform is that it is agentic in the sense that that model that you're speaking to, Carl, can call on different tools just by you asking it to. So, for example, you could say, what's the number 3 search engine result page response? Like, what's in the 3rd position for the following keyword terms, right? And you give it a list. It's going to go and use Google search to do that and come back and tell you what those are. This saves a lot of time. It's actually employing the AI to do something that you might have to do recursively multiple times with different keywords in order to do that. So it can use web search. It can interact with a bunch of different tools that, you know, we should be able to demo right now. That action is a little more difficult to achieve, or it may be even impossible to achieve with any other platform out there today. I don't know of another one that can allow you to do this tool calling strictly from the text or voice interaction with the AI agent.
Beth, can you share my screen real quick?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to refresh this really quick because I want people to, and we'll kind of talk through it here because I want what we're looking at on the screen. I can't make it bigger, unfortunately. This is the Gemini Advanced search. And so the person says, help me research autonomous vehicle sensor trend, something. And then it's going and showing you what it's going to do. It's like it's doing the research, analyzing results, creating a full report. She's like, it says, okay, search. It goes through 62 websites, analyzes the results, creates the report, says, I've completed the research for you. Then it writes what looks to be like a research paper with advantages, disadvantages on there. It asks if she wants to export it to Sheets, which is an option. It's scrolling down through the conclusion. It's got all the cited sources at the bottom of the research paper. And it's going on to say saving hours of work per week, so on and so forth. Now with deep research using Flash. So the reason I wanted to just bring that up is because this goes to yesterday's conversation, and this goes to education. This goes to so many other topics we've had, which is that we've been talking about this forever. This is just maybe a slick demo, but still a demo nonetheless of what education looks like, what deep research looks like. And it really does come right off of yesterday's conversation about what happens when you can't apply the value is not based on effort, because there's not a student in a college who won't be, or high school for that matter, or maybe middle school, who won't be able to deploy some sort of tool like this with ease and probably for free as part of just the Google suite. And to me, this is one of the things, this deep research, I'm encouraged by this because this to me looks like Google leaning on Google. Like Google is leaning on what makes Google amazing instead of doing this, red team and trying to, I mean, don't get me wrong. They had to get into the AI game, and they've had several missteps, but this is exactly what I want. I know Google's good at this, giving me 62 websites, and it's making it very, very easy for me to do this deep research. Not only from the business side, from the sales side, obviously, but anybody that's doing any sort of research papers or otherwise, it really just does go to show like this is possible. We're looking at it, whether this is a spruced up demo or not, it's coming. And so it's a bigger question about like, hey, when this is possible and the effort no longer is what defines the value of the research, what now? Because if the research is better than anything that you could have produced as a human and is good through AI, is that the value? Is that the result was done like we were talking yesterday with value-based results and so on and so forth. So just wanted to bring it up because it's a very cool demo, and to me it's what makes Google great, honestly, and is leaning on that. So I know we wanted to get to Mariner and some other stuff, but I just wanted to show that real quick.
Nope. Makes sense.
So I have Gemini Advanced. I can I did a call out from yesterday's show, research Taylorism and how it intersects with AI adoption. And let me just share quick, and we can see what it's going to do with this.
It has to do with Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to start. I saw Taylorism.
Shout out to Greg. And so the report will be ready in a few minutes. I'm going to say start the research. Try it now.
Yeah. Hi, Beth.
Nope. Okay.
That was interesting.
It's a little funky, apparently.
Is it funky, or is it just it was saying you basically had access to it. It just didn't run through. That's all.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
maybe it's just Beth's demos.
Rising and rising and rising.
By the way, Carl, when you showed your screen twice, I couldn't help but notice. I don't think it was something you had pre-put in there. It said strawberry on there, right?
Yes, it did. It when you go there, it specifically wanted you to ask about strawberry.
But that wasn't you. I'm just curious. Like,
Nope.
So
Nope.
Okay, Google, knowing that strawberry was a term used by OpenAI, Google has made one of their 3 choices on their screen to be asked about strawberry, because strawberry is not a term outside of OpenAI.
I can't
Anyway,
actually.
I was just curious about that.
I can't get it to do it again. Like it's
well,
on the screen,
figures.
it's not showing. I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure.
I mean,
It's
it
watching
sounds
our
like
show
shade.
live.
Google's totally throwing shade. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I just found it interesting. I saw it on the screen. I wanted to say something about it. Okay. Moving on. Let's see. You guys wanted to talk about let's see, we were talking about Gemini Advanced.
Mariner. Unless you want to talk about Mariner. Yeah.
Sure.
So again, waitlist, slick videos. So we don't know, but I think they have to show what their version is, and obviously it's going to be in the browser itself. I think most outside of Claude. So before we get into that, the one thing that I'm curious about, so Google has search, OpenAI able to search, GPT search. Claude doesn't have search. Meta, I'm curious about Meta possibly, like what is their search play? Because
I don't think Meta has search.
don't have search.
I don't think
But
so.
the ability to see then combined with search is actually 100 times better, because like you said, talk, do something, call something, find something that you may not have in front of you or knowledge of or access to. That is a really, that's like near table stakes component. Like you have to have it if you don't, right? So I'm curious to see if the other AI labs will integrate that somehow. Even Amazon, like where's your search capability to search online? You'll have to partner with one or Bing or somebody else to be able to do that. Don't you think?
Well, if you're making a consumer product like OpenAI is, like if you're competing through that angle, I think you absolutely need to. But if Claude's play is to be the engine of every AWS product, then not necessarily, right? Because you don't necessarily need the model itself to have search. You would just need some sort of feature, right, added to it, or some sort of internet access kind of feature added to whatever the overall project is, right?
Now, Mariner provides a tool that allows you to get around that, because it can do web navigation and it could go and invoke a service on some other website, right? So it can use tools out there on the web. That's the idea of Mariner. It's, agentic web navigation. So it doesn't have to be within the Google ecosystem, but it will probably favor that first. Like, for example, if you wanted to get a map and figure out what the fastest transit time is between two different points, Mariner can do that on a number of different mapping sites. It could also do it on Google Maps, but even the agent right now can use Google Maps, right? That's why this is such an incredible advance. This is a big package under the tree here that it really requires some unpacking.
Yeah, the ability to interact, that computer use, that interface, everything that Rabbit was promising with their large area models and things like that, that does bypass the need to have a built-in piece. So I guess that can go back to Claude and other models that don't have search built in, is the fact that if you can just interact with everything else, then you've kind of got it accessible. Yeah, that's a good point, Andy.
Yeah. Do we want to? So
sorry, I want to give a quick update. You can see over here, this is the progress of it. It's researching 34 websites, and I can go and see what the websites are. Yes, Taylor's legacy. Okay. No, I was like, oh God, is it writing about Taylor Swift? It is not. And this progress circle changes as it moves forward, and we could stop it, but I'm gonna take that off the stream.
Yeah, let it run.
And Carl.
Cool. So with Project Mariner, it takes that model and you can automate tasks. Now, I guess we'll play the slick video.
Today, I want to tell you about Project Mariner. It's a research prototype exploring the future of human-agent interaction, and it's built on Gemini 2.0. Like with all new technology, it's important for us to build this responsibly, which is why we're starting small. We'll be getting feedback from a group of trusted testers and using their experiences to really shape how Project Mariner evolves. Let me show you how it works. So Project Mariner works in the browser as an experimental Chrome extension. I'm going to start by entering a prompt. Here, I have a list of outdoor companies listed in Google Sheets, and I want to find their contact information. So I'll ask the agent to take this list of companies, then find their websites and look up a contact email I can use to reach them. This is a simplified example of a tedious multi-step task that someone could encounter at work. Now, the agent has read the Google Sheet and knows the company names. It then starts by searching Google for benchmark climbing. And now it's going to click into the website. You can see how this research prototype only works in your active tab. It doesn't work in the background. Once it finds the email address, it remembers it and moves on to the next company. At any point in this process, you can stop the agent or hit pause. What's cool is that you can actually see the agent's reasoning in the user interface so that you can better understand what it is doing. And it will do the same thing for the next two companies, navigating your browser, clicking links, scrolling, and recording information as it goes. You're seeing an early stage research prototype, so we've sped this up for demo purposes. We're working with trusted testers to make it faster and smoother, and it's so important to keep a human in the loop. After the fourth website, the agent has completed its task, listing out the email addresses for me to use. And there you have it. We're really just scratching the surface of what's possible when you bring agentic AI to computers, and we're really excited to see where this goes next.
One thing I had an issue with is it's on your active browser. So what is the point of an agent if you have to watch it complete its task?
Well, that's a limitation of their initial trials with this, but it's a simple thing. Once they get that working well, this is a research project for them, right? Once they get that working and they've smoothed out the user experience when the user is watching, then you can release that agent to go and do it without you being able to see what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's an MVP.
Right now. That's the thing, is like, if you have an agent that you have to watch,
that obviously doesn't make sense to them either, right? And that's why they called it out. Sorry, but for the moment anyway, because we're working on this, it's only in the active tab.
So yeah, because I have to see it complete the thing, which that's fine. I have two screens. I cannot. It's like watching.
I was about to say, Carl, don't you have a multi-screen setup or a multi-system
but I mean,
setup?
like watching those corporate videos, the corporate training security videos, it's like 3x speed. We'll look at something else, put it in the background. They've gotten around that. You have to actually have it on active screen. So I just turn off the screen, or I turn the opacity all the way down so I can't see it. So I'm just working on something and it's running through, or going it's anyway. It's funny like that. But yeah, it's I'm curious to see though. There's OpenAI has said they're doing it through browser. Google's doing it through browser. Claude is doing computer use, where you just use your computer. I'm curious where that's gonna fall. Are you gonna have to go through a browser, or can you do computer use and just do it completely? That to me would be an interesting.
I mean, eventually both, right? One will talk to the other, but yeah, or computer use or supersede all of it.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that there's no reason that Chrome wouldn't build out an extensive agent side of Chrome. It only makes sense because there's so much that's done within a Chrome browser.
Yeah.
And then I would imagine as things go, you would have a computer use style agent that has the overarching goal or task that needs to be accomplished and might communicate with the Chrome agent that once it opens the browser, it takes over at that point and does a certain amount of predefined tasks. And when it comes back with that result, let's say searching for vacuums or something like that, then it would come back and it may interact again with the other agent. Or at least that's the idea, I would think, is like these agents sort of working together on your computer. Because I don't know that it'll be one to rule all. I think that makes it very, very difficult, as opposed to saying like, no, Salesforce will have theirs. And, we've talked about that, right, Carl? Like, is there a need for everybody to have their own? Probably, so that it works well. So it can pass off the baton, and pass it back type of thing. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen. Of course, I don't know, but I'm guessing that's the way it'll probably work. But a really, really good agent in the Chrome browser is already very, very powerful. I mean, I would use that probably all the time because of its ability to seek out and do research while I'm working on other things, you know, like low-lying tasks that don't really require a whole lot of my interaction to do. Again, you know, I always go back to sales because that's usually where my head is from working at Scaled. But I mean, just think about any level of prospecting. I mean, this is stuff that we're helping people solve problems for every single day. So just think about having a running list inside of Chrome, or let's say it's in a Google spreadsheet, and it's their top 20 accounts, you know, and they just want to run every once a week, every couple of days, they want to run sort of what like Beth is doing in the back end, like some research on those top accounts to see updates, quarterly reports, annual reports, news. They just got rid of their CEO. They just had investment call, yada, yada, yada. Like this happens all the time. And it's kind of time consuming to go and grab this stuff, but it's not hard. It's like if you just told a sales rep to go do it, they'd be like, yeah, I can do that. But like, get back with me in 2 hours when I have something that's valuable enough to us to go to the client with, or feel like we can update Salesforce, you know, and so on and so on. But these aren't hard tasks. They're just time consuming. So this is a great example of where I think, you know, a Chrome agent would be able to handle that, kind of like what Beth is showing on the screen, except that it would be running in Chrome. Okay, what did you find, Beth? Anything good?
So it created, it finished. Then if you click open in docs, it's gonna write the doc, and then you have to go to it. You can also ask about this. I'm just saying write a limerick because we don't have a ton of time. And then I will switch to actually I'll switch to the image now because I have to stop sharing the screen. And no, there we go. Okay. So the main thing that I see about this is that their spacing is funky, right? So like you definitely, if you're using it to write the report, you should go in and figure out why it's giving you spacing stuff. But it shares the research methodology, the core principles of it, the impact of Taylorism on AI adoption, right? So awesome. The automation of repetitive tasks, standardization of workflows. Actually, Brian, we didn't know the word before yesterday, but we have been Taylorism fans for quite some time, apparently.
Oh, nice to know.
And then, so I will switch back one more time and we'll see what it gave us on our limericks.
One thing I was thinking about
this,
wouldn't it be cool to connect this with Notebook LM, like the ability, once you get the deep research, you can create that, you know, thing with it. So I thought that would be an awesome connection whenever they connect it. I would imagine that would be a thing eventually to connect this, so you don't have to.
Right.
Pretty significant research.
Old Frederick Taylor, quite the chap. Timed workers with a stopwatch's snap. Now AI's on scene, making workflows lean, but some fear a dehumanizing trap. That's actually pretty good limerick. All right.
You know what I love about this is that, you know, it's I don't know what it was, like 32 resources or something like that. And look, I am sure they could still hallucinate and all that, but you gotta hedge your bets when something is looking through 32 different resources on the internet, that you are starting to help yourself against possibly having misinformation, poor information. Because if it's hitting that many types of resources, what, all 32 are going to be all misinformation? Probably not. Probably more than not of them will actually be solid resources. And then to bring that together, just like a human would go and say, well, this is valuable to me, but only this part, and I'm going to piece this together, whatever. Again, it's the whole research process. Not to say that, you know, students don't need to know how to do this, but there's going to be tools that can do it for them.
Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting show, is actually comparing the different AI research tools that are out there now, right? So we use Perplexity all the time. We're seeing Google Gemini Advanced here. We know that there's that Storm one from MIT, right?
I think it's Stanford.
Oh, is it Stanford? Sorry.
It matters.
Sorry.
Stanford coming at you.
Yeah, I know. My bad. And then was the last one. Oh yeah, and then Respell has a research agent, right?
That's right.
And,
They were one of
and
the
that's
first.
gotten a lot better than when I first initially tried it.
Mhm.
I just tried it a couple of weeks ago, and that output's actually pretty good. So
I mean, based
I'd
on
love to know,
ChatGPT's announcement yesterday, OpenAI's announcement yesterday with some of their enhanced search features,
oh,
it's not a research tool, but it definitely is moving in that direction. You might be able to pair that new research capability with O1 and get something that's actually pretty good. But yeah, not like what Google showed or what you're talking about, Jimmy, but possible. I'm not sure how you would pull that off.
All these new research tools are going to give new meaning to do your own research.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you weren't here yesterday, Andy, but that's exactly what the whole topic was about, was like, when you can't, it was based off of the Ethan Malik post that went out, or the LinkedIn post or whatever, but the idea of not being able to assign value to effort, and then we talked about use cases in law and legal and things like that. But yeah, it definitely goes in that range because, this is yet another tool and it'll be lightning fast. So when these assignments are being put out there, is it that can you produce a very well-respected research paper? Yes, I can do that with AI. The question will then have to be these assignments and things in colleges and high schools and all that will either be, break this down. Here's 5 sources and break this down on your desk live in the classroom. And we're going to do this every day. And I'm going to collect the paperwork and there'll be no AI involved because I need to test your ability to do critical thinking and research skills. Right. So like, I think there's going to be those types of very hands-on things in schools. But these tools are going to exist. So, again, it's how are people going to bring these in and what does it mean to do well research? And do we care if it's produced by AI or do we care about the research being really, really solid? Now, I don't know about the Taylorism one, but if we all read it and collectively agreed, wow, that's solid research. That's a solid paper on the Google Doc about Taylorism. We don't need for anything more than that. Is that a problem that AI created that? So, all right, we probably need to wrap things up unless you guys had one other thing real quick, but I mean, we're kind of out of time. So yeah, I mean, there's more than we talked about. I mean, video effects and other things that they're putting out, some really, really cool stuff as far as video creation I will tell you, rivals every bit of Sora right now, as well as Kling and other ones. So that's really cool to see, as well as a lot of other things they're doing as far as their experiments. We did a whole show on their experiments before. And so they have some other cool ones. It looks a lot like Leonardo, where Leonardo just came out with their thing where you just pick pictures that you like. And through a process of picking things that you like, it actually creates the new image for you. Very, very cool. Matt Wolf put out a video on that if you want to go check that out on YouTube. But I'm seeing something very similar with Google, which is, hey, you don't have to write prompts anymore. All you have to do is keep picking pictures that you think are interesting. And then it's taking all of your picks to basically write the prompt. But you're doing it in a visual way, which is actually really cool. I think a lot of kids can have a lot of fun with that in sort of piecing things together and watching how it, morphs this way or morphs that way. Don't forget, you can go to our website, dailyishow.com, and sign up for the newsletter there. Don't forget, we will also be back at 1 p.m., so just about 2 hours from now, whoever can make it, to talk about day 9 of the 12 days of open AI. Had a pretty decent announcement yesterday. I thought it'd be interesting to see how that goes, and we'll see what the rest of the week brings out. So that's what we have going on. Tomorrow is the news, so you can come back to our regular show and hear about all the latest news. Maybe there'll be another Google one. We'll talk about some of the open AI stuff as well as the other stuff going on. So come on back the rest of the week. And until next time, thanks, Greg and everybody. Appreciate everybody in the comments as always. We will see you guys tomorrow. Until then.